Welcome back to the weigh-in. Got to talk about the fights that happened this week. Got to talk about Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson came back to fighting. Not really though. Not like a real fight. Not against a real opponent. Kind of an exhibition. I guess supposed to be a fun match. It was what it was. It was a fun match. You had Jake Paul fighting Nate Robinson. You had Joyce versus Daniel Dubois, which is for legit boxing. That was the legit fight that happened this weekend. That was great. Really important what happened. Really changes the landscape of the heavyweight division. But let's talk about what everyone wants to talk about. It's I would say the Mike Tyson card, right? That's probably like the most popular thing that happened. And my thoughts on it were it was what it was. It was what it was. It was a fun matchup. I had a good time watching it. It was entertaining, and that's what it was supposed to be. It wasn't supposed to be anything other than that. Now people saying that Mike Tyson could fight legit heavyweights now. He could not. He couldn't even fight lower level heavyweights right now. Okay, he gets smoked by randoms, right? Random heavyweights that you've never heard of that are professional. They would smoke Mike Tyson right now. So let's lose that because that's just not happening. That's not happening. That performance didn't show me anything that would say that. He had struggled to cleanly hit Roy Jones, who is shot beyond shot, right? He is shot beyond shot. So that's not what that was. What it was entertaining. Would I see it again? Just depending on the opponent. It's not going to just sell just because of Tyson's name. This first one sold just because of Tyson's name, because it was something that we hadn't seen in a while. It was something that we didn't know what to expect. So now once you see it, you're a little more familiar with it. There's no like shock factor to it anymore. There's no surprise. Like, what are we going to see? We know what we're going to see. So now you have to bring an opponent that is credible. It is not credible, but is a name that can hold with Tyson, right? Can sell some fights. Evander, that's honestly not bad. That's looking better and better. I was thinking Bernard Hopkins. I don't know if he'd do it. He has a lot more left in the tank than a lot of these guys. I would think Bernard Hopkins would win that fight. And the fact is, they're not even really scoring these fights because Tyson clearly won that fight. They scored it a draw. I don't know how that works, where they could just say it's a draw and now this. I don't know. It seemed to me like it was planned that they weren't going to have a winner in the fight. But people bet on it, so I don't know if they could do that. But then again, people bet on WWE, and those are decided who's going to win. So I don't know how any of that works. But from what I saw, it was entertaining, but it was nothing more than that. It was just what it was supposed to be. The presentation was awesome. People are mad about the music. I honestly thought it was like nice filler between these fights because I wouldn't like it on a real card, but on this card, yeah, this card was just fun. And that's what it was supposed to be. And that was a fun card. And then Jake Paul fought Nate Robinson. And I have a lot to say about this. I have a lot of opinions on this because I don't think people know what to make of it, right? I don't think people know what to make of what, Jake Paul's doing, or I don't think anyone has really just, like sat down and really tore this apart. Like what's happening here with Jake Paul? What is this? Is this for real? Is he really good? Is he, what Nate Robinson break? He's fighting, it's well-placed opponents, right, for him. Now, I'm not taking anything away from him. He's really training. He's really taking it serious. He's really making sure he's going in there and bringing the best that he can bring in the ring. He's in shape. He's getting better. It's clear to see, right? He's clearly getting better. But he's also fighting, what do you fight? Anderson Gibb, who has never fought before, right? Who fought another YouTuber, right? And that's it. But he had never fought before. And he never fought professionally before. And he's a lot bigger than him. And when he hit him, yes, he hurt him because he's a bigger man than him. Okay? He's just a bigger man than him. So when he hit Anderson, he couldn't continue already from the first shot because he was just too small. He was too small for it. Then who do you fight? Nate Robinson. And now Nate Robinson, the person putting this together, if it's Jake Paul, he's a genius, is picking the correct guys for this. Because if you think, like, you just want to hit the common fan, right? The common guy the common kid who watches YouTube, and the common guy is just going to think, well, Nate Robinson's super athletic. So Nate Robinson's going to give him a hard time. He's a professional NBA athlete. He's a big man. He's small in the NBA, but he's still big compared to probably, majority of men. You know what I mean? He's a professional athlete. He's a super explosive. All these things. A slam dunk competition winner 3 times. So you would think, oh man, he's going to be good. He's going to learn this way faster than Jake Paul did. But no, that's not the case. And this is, actually, it settled one debate that people have had throughout times, that people always said, like, if LeBron was boxing, he'd be the heavyweight champ of the world. Or if LeBron was at MMA, he'd be the heavyweight champ of the world. Or if any of these guys switch to fighting, this is where all the champs are at. That's not the case, because fighting is so different than any of these sports. It's the movement, everything. It's different. That's why these guys ain't transitioning over, right? That's because that's not why like a retired football player, after he's done like Hall of Fame career, doesn't go to boxing. It's a different sport, and that's why most of these guys grow up with it and they learn these movements, and because these movements are different than any other sport. So this proved that, just because you're super athletic and everything doesn't mean that you're gonna have success in that ring, and that's what it showed. He looked like he had never fought a day in his life, and because he hadn't. Yeah, he had trained, yeah, but you ain't gonna learn this, right? If one guy's training for 2 years, another guy's training for 2 months, it, it's ridiculous. It's a con job of what's happening now. Does Jake Paul hit pretty hard? Yeah, it looks like it, but he's also fighting guys that everyone's been smaller than him. He's also fighting guys that are not used to getting punched. They're also fighting guys that have no experience, not a lot of experience sparring, working through getting hit or learning how to roll off with punches or just being calm and patient in there. He has not fought those guys yet. And if he fought those guys, I think he would lose immediately. I don't think he's a good fighter. I don't think he has a lot of skill. I don't think any of those things. I think he's tough, and I think that he has the heart to fight and the will to fight. But let's see when a guy that, like his brother, right? Why I respect Jake Paul, Logan Paul more than I respect Jake Paul, right? Is because Jake Paul fought a guy in KSI, both YouTubers, both same conference level, both started at the exact same time boxing. But there were two guys that actually trained it and had the experience and went in there with the same thing, same will, and knew what they were getting into. And when they got hit, not one quit. They knew, I'm going to keep going. And none of the guys he's fighting that got hit have ever got hit like this. So they get rattled and everything. Fight someone that's been hit before. Fight someone that really has intentions to fighting, that really is committed as much as you are, right? And then we will see something. But if he's going to, if you start fighting the MMA fighters, that's the next direction to go. And people are saying, he'll give Dylan Dennis a hard time or beat up Dylan Dennis. I think that's pretty ridiculous to say so clearly, right? I'm not saying Dylan Dennis will smoke him or anything, but I'm saying Dylan Dennis has been fighting for a while now. Now he's a jiu-jitsu guy, but he's been working his hands, and whether he sucks or not, he's not gonna panic. You know what I mean? He is not gonna look to quit in there. This is a guy that's been hit and sparred with some legit MMA fighters. Maybe even some average boxers he's been in there with. I'm not saying he's had success against them, but what I'm saying is that he's a man that's been punched in the face before. And he's a fighter, and he has the will to fight. And I think that people are going to be surprised that when Jake Paul meets someone with a will to fight, he might fold a little bit. Because he's swinging wildly. It wasn't nothing really done impressively in that thing. The knockout was impressive. But if you look what he's doing, his eyes closed. He's just swinging haymakers. He's a bigger guy compared to who he's fighting. And he's swinging haymakers. And he's landing. And they're landing with, 10-ounce gloves. It might be, I believe it's 10 ounce, 190. 10-ounce gloves. And that's what's going to happen. You're swinging, you're close, you're swinging all your might. Guy's running forward, doesn't know what to do, has his hand down, running towards the shot. That's what happened. Addison Gibb and Anison Gibb, all right, I'll say little big Gibber. He was small. He's small compared to him, right? He's small compared to him. So of course he gets hit. He's gonna get hurt. At least Logan Paul fought a guy KSI who had the same intentions as him and trained, and they both went in there with the same intentions, same skill level. I have yet to see Jake Paul do that. Now if he fights Dylan Dennis, I put a lot, and he wins that fight. You start getting my respect because that's an actual fighter. That's a guy that has at least the intentions of fight. He actually has the heart to fight. He's not going to quit in there. He's not going to get hit with the first shot and start panicking, right? He's going to look to respond. If he starts fighting MMA fighters, then this is I think the avenue for him. This is the next logical step if he wants to really start gaining some respect. And it would be a big thing if he starts jacking up MMA fighters in boxing. And it's not like saying it's impossible. It's not like some of these guys I'm sure Dylan Dennis sucks with his hands, but he's a fighter. And he's sparred, and he's gone rounds, and he's used to getting hit and coming forward. So that's what I'm waiting for him to do. So I'm not going to say what people are saying, he could fight. We don't know if he could fight. He could fight when he's knocking out, soccer dads who are just trying to train on the weekend. Yeah, he could knock those dudes out. That's what they're saying. But is he fighting legit? If he was fighting and getting good sparring with legit fighters, right? Like guys we knew or guys that at least had some, experience, and they would post it. They would for sure post it. They would put it on his YouTube and they would say, look, he's losing, but it's competitive, right? They would do that for sure. They would for sure do that. Like Logan did with Costa. But they're not doing that because they know it's the truth is out there. The thing I like about boxing, right, is that the truth always comes out. You're not gonna fake it for a long time. Now, if he stops now, with a rep, but he's not gonna stop now because there's too much money to be made. And people are mad about the, like him getting these opportunities that, not other fighters ain't getting or whatever. He sells himself. That if there's money to be made, it will be made. But there's the longevity of it. Don't buy into that. Unless he starts fighting real guys, the longevity of this will die out. Because what, Nate Robinson is gonna fight B stars? Nate Robinson is not really like a mega star. We told a lot of people who don't even know who the hell Nate Robinson is. They had it sound like he was just an NBA player. They said slam dunk contest winner like 3 times. Right now, a lot of people know who Nate Robinson is. He's not going to be able to keep it up fighting B level stars. He's going to have to fight guys that are at least fighters or legit like stars. Like if he could get, the idea I throw was Michael B. Jordan, because Michael B. Jordan said he would like to fight Roy Jones, right? Which is ridiculous. But if Michael B. Jordan really wants to get in the ring, this guy will get in the ring with him, and that would be huge for Jake. He would definitely do it, and it would definitely sell, right? So unless he can get a guy like that, I don't think that's going to happen. So he's going to have to start getting MMA guys. So someone that legitimately wants to fight. Someone that's legitimately a fighter. So we're going to see where that goes. But the fighting, people like saying, like, what is he doing in the ring? Just, fighting is the fairest sport of all. MMA, boxing is the fairest sport of all. If you want to throw these hands, you can. Any guy, right, saying like, oh, you know what I would do in the ring, and he's watching on TV, there's an opportunity to do it. You just got to go to the local gym. You will have an opportunity to fight. If you dedicate yourself, that's what fighting is. It's the fairest sport of all sports. If you want to fight, there will be an opportunity for you to fight. It's the fairest sport. So let's go to Joyce versus Dubois. Let's get to real boxing now. Let's talk about legit boxing here. And Joyce was, people were selling his stock. They weren't, Joyce came out, it's like, he was a silver medalist, Olympics. People thought he should have won gold. Big guy. A little bit lumbering. Yeah, he's lumbering. He definitely is. But he's not like, he's slow. But what he has is a steady flow of offense. And a steady flow of offense is, it's a skill that not many have, right? To be able to flow with your offense and be able to flow with like 5 punches at a time. You know what I mean? That's what Joyce has. He's with his hands. He's flowing with them. There's nothing. He has no hitch in his game, right? When it comes to his punches. Now, does he have great defense? No. His defense is he could take a hell of a shot. He's really big. He can take a hell of a shot. Now, he has little tricks. Like, he'll get out of there. He'll fall to the side. He'll lean to a side and kind of run out to escape through that side and then get back up coming towards you. And Dubois was explosive. Supposedly the more gifted fighter, right? The more explosive, hit harder. Fundamentally looked like more compact. His punches just looked like they did more damage. He looked the part. Dan Dubois looked the part. And you know what? When he fought that night, he was the part the first few rounds. It's what I expected. He was hitting Joyce, hitting him with solid shots, big shots. And then Joyce was just landing a jab. It's a steady jab while Dan Dubois was getting off, winning the early rounds. But Joyce is steady. Just remind me of like old George Foreman, like on his comeback, just like slowly just hitting you with the jab, just breaking him down. And really, Joyce did not land much other than his jab. But he just stood with it. He just stood confident that was going to do the work. And it did. It slowly, you could see Dubois' face breaking down slowly. His nose started with his nose. His nose started getting real red. Then his eyes started swelling up. And it was interesting because I was watching it. And it's, I guess depending where you fight, the rules are different. Because I just seen a fight stop, right? The Maloney DeFranco fight. Yeah, Maloney DeFranco fight, because of the eye was closed and he couldn't see out of it no more. Well, Dubois couldn't see out of his eye anymore. Like within the middle, probably like 5th round, he could not see out of that eye anymore. He couldn't. It was shut. But no one ever looked to stop it. Like, I was surprised by that. Like, no one ever said like, hey, can you see out of it? No one ever did the test. None of that. They just let him keep going. Now, I didn't know that he had broken his eye socket, right? I didn't know that. I've had that injury before from a headbutt in boxing, and everybody's saying he quit and all those things. Let me tell you something. When I had it, right, I did it in a 4-round fight. Guy headbutt a few times and it broke. And then I didn't notice it in the fight, but after the fight, my face swelled up like, half of 1.5. My face got bigger, 1.5. And that damage, like you can't even like the pain, I couldn't even chew. Like I had, my friend's birthday the next day, and I couldn't even eat the cake. Like, that's how bad. You can't chew, you can't move your face, everything hurts. So him getting jabbed in his face, past that, like it probably happened like 2nd, 3rd round, and then going past that and getting jabbed constantly by a hard jab that caused the break. We're not feeling what he's feeling in there. So if he said I can't take no more, I can't blame him. The damage that done, the pain and all that was caused, I cannot blame him. Now, if you want to go to a similar situation as Josh Koscheck with George St. Pierre, who the same thing happened to him. He got broken with a jab, with a hard jab that George St. Pierre was bringing. I believe he pushed through, but hey, it's not the same thing. It's not the same thing. You're not getting hit with the same shot that Joe Joyce is getting hit. Everyone's different. I don't know what he's feeling in there. And I haven't taken nothing away from him for stopping his fight because he has a full career ahead of him. And this fight was not going to go his direction. And if once his face started falling apart, it was only going to get worse. And in the round before it, Joe Joyce landed like his first 1-2 that I thought was clean. And when he landed that, I could just see it breaking. I could just see Dubois breaking, and Joyce was going to take control of this fight. So I think that people thought going into this fight that it was really the test for Dubois, right? If he was going to win the fight, that would put him to the next level, right? It would show that he was the real deal. And if he lost, then he would show that he was not the real deal or whatever. But no one really said, like, what are we going to do for Joe Joyce? And I think that this puts Joe Joyce right in the middle of all this thing. He thinks he's in a really good spot. And he reminds me of when Tyson Fury beat Klitschko. No one really talked about that. It's kind of like swept it under the rug, and it was like, wait, Klitschko was dominating all these years. He had not had a hard fight in forever, and a guy just outboxed him, which is what Klitschko does. Like, you ever thought you were gonna beat Klitschko, you're gonna get on him, you're gonna knock him, you were gonna tire him out, knock him out, all those things. That's not what Fury did. Fury outboxed Klitschko. So to my mind, I was like, okay, well, Klitschko outboxes everyone, so this must be the best heavyweight in the world. And that's how I always thought from when he beat him. Now, he disappeared and all that, and then I had to stop arguing it. But once he came back, I knew. I was like, oh, well, this is the real deal if he could come back and be 100% what he was, because he outboxed the man that outboxed everyone. Well, Joyce reminds you of that. He just beat a man that was hyped up, supposed to be the next big thing. Well, why isn't he the next big thing? Because it's not like he got the guy in the off night. It's not like the guy missed weight or the guy was messing around training. No, he came in shape. He came ready to go, and Joe Joyce bested him. So now we have to start saying he's a serious problem. Now the defense, taking those shots, he's a big man. As long as he can take those shots, he'd be a problem. Eventually, that wall will crack, and he won't be able to take the shots like that anymore. So he's around 35 years old. That's another thing. He's not a young guy, but in the heavyweight division, that's not that old either. That's probably right in the prime of it. So he's probably ready to go and get to it. And there's some interesting fights for him. And I think that if you could get the Usyk fight, which they want to do, and I don't know if Eddie Hearn's going to be too excited to get that fight going, because that's not, Joe Joyce isn't his fighter, and while he wastes Usyk on that fight when he could do Dylan White, Povetkin winner or something like that. Or even Joseph Parker, right? Well, but if they could do that fight, that's a perfect matchup. Giant, slow, hard-hitting, versus Usyk, who's smaller, faster, combinations. Movement. It's really literally perfect matchup for both of them. If Joe Joyce can break down this man and get to him, this well-crafted, beautiful footwork, if he can get to him, he can prove there's not really anyone that can step there. A guy that can move like a Fury, or a guy that can hit. He beat Dubois who can hit, who reminds me of a smaller, younger AJ, right? And if he could beat the boxer of Usyk, then he beat the guy that's kind of like Fury. So that he showed that's like the logical next fight for him. Let's see where he goes with it. Now, Dubois, I still think he's there. You gotta let him rest though, because you can't put him back in, because this is the exact same thing happening to Kell Brook. You cannot put him back in, because if that injury happens again, and then who knows what it does to his career. Send him back, let him rest. He's young. He will be right back there. He's impressive. You can put him in there, just put him against another journeyman, let him get a few knockouts. He will be back in this thing. He's not done yet. He just ran into a good heavyweight, and that's what we need to do in boxing. We can't punish these guys for losing when they fight good fighters. That's what happened. Boxing, good spot. I got another podcast coming this week. Spence versus Garcia. Excellent fight, big fight. I can't wait to break it down. And that's it for today. Thank you for listening to The Weigh-In.